Testing, testing. Hey, Pretty Girl Club. I am not editing this stream because I just want to talk my shit today. So, you guys really liked my stream that I did about the types of men that I don't date. So, this is going to be a part two to that because I just feel like ranting today. I have not had a good rant session in a long time. So, get your tea and get your popcorn because this is going to be another good one. So I have an entire list here on my phone. Okay, so number one, Taurus men. So I don't really believe in the signs, but like I kind of do because I've noticed that if a guy is an Aquarius, I tend to get along really well with that sign or whatever. I've noticed I get along with the same types of men as women in terms of signs. So if the guy is an Aquarius, if he is a Pisces, I notice I get along with him pretty well. I don't think that I've dated like an Aries guy, but I've just noticed if the guy's birthday is around May, somewhere around that kind of like late spring, early summer, anywhere around that range, he's going to be a nightmare. He's going to be a cheater. He's going to be mentally ill. I can't do it. Number two, men who wear chains. Why do you need to wear a chain? I've just noticed this pattern where, okay, so guys who wear chains, usually it's a sign that they've been heavily influenced by African American culture. So I love African American culture, but I'm not heavily influenced by it. I'm still multiracial and multicultural. So if a guy's wearing chains, especially if he's wearing any sort of larger chain, I already know that he's going to be too deeply entrenched in Blackistan for him to get along with me. And also another thing I've noticed about guys who have like a lot of hip hop fashion, they tend to follow the African American dating culture as well. So I don't really like the black cultural dating style because it's not really they're not as good at courting. So I told you guys the story time about ex Workbay over on the Patreon. Be sure to join the Patreon if you haven't already. But in terms of ex Workbay, so he was actually an accounting manager and he was very professional. But I noticed he used to wear a really teeny tiny little gold chain. Like it was super small, it was not noticeable at all. But he would wear his chain at work and it would be kind of like underneath his shirts and stuff. And it's kind of like, okay, why is he wearing a chain at work? I don't know. Like, I remember noticing it, but I didn't think anything of it. But I noticed he still had those same dating issues that I see in a lot of unambiguous monoracial dark skinned black men, like from the hood or whatever. So I just don't like it. Anything that points to hood culture with a man's fashion, I'm out. I don't care if he's black, white, like if he's one of those white guys that wears chains, absolutely not. I don't care what race he is. If he wears chains of any kind, I'm not interested. And that includes Hispanic men who wear the Catholic, they wear the rosary and all that. I'm out. Number three, men who wear Jordans. I don't want to see any Jordans, no Air Forces, no foams. I don't want to see any of that shit because none of it matches with my aesthetic. None of it matches with my style. Okay. I want to see Sperry's. I want to see professional looking shoes. If you can't wear those shoes with a suit, I don't want to see the shoes. Like if you're working out or something, I understand. But it's like if you're spending hundreds of dollars on your shoes, that is another thing that points to black culture. It points to heavily to Blackistan culture. And I also kind of feel like, okay, if he spends $500 or $600 on Yeezys, what does that really tell me about his spending habits? Like, you better be a multi-millionaire if you're spending that much money on shoes. I have never spent more than $65 on a pair of shoes because I feel like it's not necessary. Why do I need to spend that much money on shoes? Like I would rather spend $600 getting a business license or, paying off credit card debt or something. I've just noticed a pattern where guys who wear those types of shoes always broke. Always. I don't think I've ever met a wealthy guy who is good with money who wears Jordans, Air Forces, and foams. I don't think I've ever met a man who is mentally, financially, and emotionally healthy who wears those types of shoes. Never. Not one. Number four, men with large beards. I don't want to see a Rick Ross style beard. No, I'm not interested in the Black Santa Claus. No, I'm not interested in the lumberjack beard. No, I'm not interested in Gimli from Lord of the Rings. I don't care what race he is. I see beards kind of similar to how men view makeup. I don't mind a little bit of it. I think it can enhance your appearance, but if there's too much of it, I feel like it's starting to take away from the attractiveness of your face. And it kind of makes me question, like, okay, what are you trying to hide? Are you trying to compensate for something? Like, why do you have this giant beard? Especially the guys that have like the long braided beards and stuff, or like they put beads on their beards. I'm just like, what are you doing, bro? What are you doing? Okay, number 5, men who drive Teslas. If you drive a Tesla, you are controlling, you are a misogynist, and you are most likely an incel, or you have a history of being an incel. If you guys saw the video that I did not long ago about the incel who tied up my car and blocked my car in the parking lot, yeah, guess what? He was a Tesla owner. So I've just noticed this pattern where it's every single time it's a Tesla owner, I'm telling you, he's gonna have that Elon Musk personality. He's gonna have like the Nick Cannon personality. And by the way, this applies to men of all races. I know that not a lot of black men own Teslas, but yeah, it doesn't matter his race. If he owns a Tesla, he's going to be controlling. I don't know what number I'm on, so I'm just going to say number 5. Men with man buns and bayangs. That's a cope. You are coping. You have nothing going for yourself, so you're relying on your looks. That's what he's doing. He's relying on his looks. Like, first of all, man buns, I just feel like it gives hippie. I just feel like if he is spending that much time on his hairstyling and his fashion, I feel like it's an extreme way of attention seeking. Like, if you want to seek female attention, there are so many other ways to get a woman's attention. Get a woman's attention by having things going for yourself, not by having a bayang. Number 6, men with short necks. They look like a turtle. Have you ever seen the guy where like the back of their neck looks like a pack of hot dogs? They're almost always bipolar, mentally ill, alcoholics, or abusive. Almost every single time. If he has a short neck, beware. Because I don't know, I feel like your brain stem, you know how like the stem of your brain goes down into your neck? I just have a theory that guys that have these short necks, and especially if they have like the bulging eyes too, like if their eyes are bulging out of their head, if they've got veins popping out of their forehead and their neck, he's mentally ill. He's bipolar. He is bipolar. He's got borderline personality disorder. And so I just can't do it. I can't. I naturally get scared. I'm like, oh my God, is he going to turn his head in a 180-degree angle like Chucky? Like, I get scared if he has a super short neck. I'm just like, how do you swallow? Like, how do you sleep at night? Are you able to use a pillow? Number 7, men with large, bulky muscles. So we were talking about this in the Discord last night. Be sure to join the Discord. But we were talking about this. Why would I want to date a guy who enjoys intimidating people with his physical appearance? So remember the turtle guy, the Ninja Turtle guy from Pop the Balloon? As soon as he walked through the door, the first thing I was thinking was, oh my God, he looks like he's about to beat somebody's ass. That's the first thing that I thought of when I first saw that guy. If I were on that show, I would have instantly popped just based on his appearance alone. And then, boom, next thing you know, that guy gets exposed for being physically abusive. Any guy that is spending 6 to 8 hours in the gym per day and he is not rich, that's a red flag. I just feel like those guys that try to get super buff, it's like they're coping for something. So they feel like a loser in society, or they feel weak on the inside. And so the only way that they can feel powerful is by letting everybody know, hey, I can beat your ass, basically. That's kind of how I feel about super big, giant, bulky muscles. I can't do it. Like, I don't mind if you are thin or if you have natural muscles, just kind of like lean muscle, you look like a normal human being, that's fine. But if it's obvious that you spend 8 hours in the gym and that all you eat is like muscle milk or like protein powders and shit, no. No, because like, what is he going to do when he gets mad at me? I would be scared for my life. I remember there was one time I met this guy and he shook my hand. He was this white guy. I was like, oh, nice to meet you. He's like, nice to meet you. This guy shook my hand. He squeezed the shit out of my hand. I was like, ow. I literally said that when he shook my hand. I was like, "Ow, oh my god." And he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Did I squeeze your hand too hard?" And I'm like, "Yeah, dude." So that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Like, I don't want to be just giving you a hug and the next thing I know, I'm passed out because you put me in a half Nelson. So the next one on my list is men who use their pets to attract female attention. You are a cheater or an incel. Those are the only two options. If you had to go to Petco or the animal shelter and get an entire dog that you probably don't take care of, I've never seen a man who takes care of a dog as good as a woman. So you had to go through all that drama and you're walking around with this crazy ass dog that literally jumps on me. I've had guys where they will let their dogs jump on me, just a random stranger. I don't even know the guy. I'll be walking out of my apartment or walking down the sidewalk or whatever, and then a guy will like let his dog jump on me, or he will like put some slack on the leash so that the dog could try to like go closer to me. And this is a way that they try to get attention. Like, no, I'm not going to pet your dog. It's probably not well taken care of. And why is your dog so aggressive? Especially like if the dog is aggressive, I kind of feel like dogs are sometimes a representation of their owners. So if your dog is super aggressive, if your dog randomly starts humping me, I've had guys' dogs literally start humping me before. Like I'll walk into a guy's house or something, and then boom, next thing I know, the dog's humping me. Almost every time I see the dog, it's humping me. It's humping a pillow. It's humping everything in sight. And I'm like, what is wrong with this dog? Every dog does not hump everything in sight. And I have this crazy theory. I know that this is a BS theory, but like I low key believe it. Almost every guy that I've met whose dog humps everything, the guy has been a porn addict. So I don't know if there's like a correlation. I don't know. I mean, this is far fetched. I'm not saying that this is fact, but I've just noticed any guy that I've met that has a dog, especially a dog that humps everything, that guy has always ended up being some sort of porn addict. So I'm just like, okay, is the dog just copying what it sees its owner doing? Or like, I don't know. I've never had a pet, so I have no idea. I don't know how dogs work. I love dogs though. I actually like cats a little bit better than dogs. I don't mind being a cat lady. I think cats are very pretty and feminine. But yeah, that's my theory about guys that have dogs. Number 7, hippies, because they're usually broke. If he is a hippie, he's going to start saying things like, "Oh, money doesn't matter and let's just sit here and meditate and say om all day long and sit on our yoga mats and drink fruit smoothies." No, you need to get a job. It is not 1965. This is not Woodstock. No, I don't want to go to the Burning Man festival with you and pay my own way. So yeah, I can't with the hippies. That just doesn't match my aesthetic. I feel like being a hippie and being very earthy and stuff, I just feel like that's more attractive and acceptable on a woman. If a man is a hippie, he's going to be resting in his feminine throughout the entire relationship. That is just a pattern that I've noticed. Number 8, men with no LinkedIn profile. If I can't look up your LinkedIn, you're a liar. If you have no website, no LinkedIn, if I can't find the name of your company, if I don't find you on the company's website, you are dusty. You are absolutely 100% an average Joe dusty. If you're a business owner, where's your business license? Where's your website? Where are your clients? Like there needs to be some trail where I can find who you are. There needs to be some way that you can like back things up. So I've had guys tell me before that they were consultants or that they were like all these different professional jobs. And then when you try to look the guy up or when you try to look up the company, it doesn't exist. Men are really out here struggling these days. I don't know what number I'm on, so I'm just going to make up a number. Number 9, club promoters and event planners. You are cheaters. If he's constantly at the club, he's always at the strip club, he's always at the party, he's a bouncer or something like that, he works in the front. Yeah, they've always been cheaters. I've never dated a club guy or an event planner except for when I was a teenager. But yeah, they've always been cheaters. Usually they've got a whole bunch of girls they're DMing on Instagram. Oh, And that leads me to my next point. Number 10, men who are social media influencers. I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm done. No more social media influencers. I don't care if you're a video game streamer. I don't care if you play Fortnite. I don't care if you're talking about business stuff. I don't care if you're talking about political stuff. I've never met a male social media influencer who is faithful and emotionally stable and has consistent money. I've never met a man who has done social media as a profession who checks those three boxes ever. Number 11, men who have more female friends than male friends. Be sure to check out my video about decentering men and how I don't believe in male and female friendships because there's a pattern with guys where all of their female friends are pretty. I've noticed that for sure. Like one of the signs that you have pretty privilege is that a lot of men want to be friends with you. I've never in my life seen a guy seek out a friendship with a woman that he finds repulsive and ugly. I've never seen that. I've seen guys be acquaintances with women who are ugly, like, oh, hey, how are you, Sarah? Okay, good to see you. Okay, bye, Karen. I've seen them be acquaintances. But as far as friendship, the definition of friendship is you have an emotional connection with that person. You have a sustained emotional connection with that person. You're keeping up with that person's life. You're checking in on them. You're hanging out with them. I've never seen a guy do that with a woman that he finds ugly. So yeah, if he has more female friends than male friends, or he has a whole bunch of female friends, I'm out because he is trying to shoot his shot. He's basically going to be one of those bare minimum guys. He wants the free validation and the free status of being surrounded by beautiful women without having to take them on dates. Or he's one of those guys where like he's too scared to pursue a woman, so he wants you to pursue him. So he's trying to get into the friend zone because he's hoping that one of the women will have a weak moment after a breakup or something and then like sleep with him or get drunk. He's hoping that one of his female friends will get drunk or something and then make out with him or give him some form of validation that he is heavily seeking after. And a lot of these guys, too, if you start dating him, let's say you become his girlfriend, he's not going to stop having female friends. He's going to keep texting them, he's going to keep DMing them. And then, depending on who these women are, if these are like male centered pick me women, they might be sabotaging or bashing you behind the scenes, or, anytime he fights with you, he's going to run to his female friend and then she's going to try to emotionally comfort him. It's going to be a whole bunch of drama. So I don't have time for it. And I also feel like some guys who have a lot of female friends are also gay, like they're on the DL and stuff, and they're trying to use their proximity to women to hide the fact that they're on the DL. So, yeah, that's another thing. Number 12, red pill or manosphere men. I don't know if I talked about some of these things in the last episode, but yeah, if I see anything on his YouTube, so you know how sometimes a guy will be logged into his YouTube, like on his phone or something. If I see any fresh and fit or anything on his YouTube channel in his suggestions, or if I hear him say any buzzwords from the red pill space, I'm out. If I hear him say anything that is from the manosphere space, like, oh, you're a modern woman, or 50-50 rhetoric or anything like that, that is an instant turn off. I don't know what number I'm on. I think I'm on number 12. Baby daddies. A lot of men have so much shit to talk about women who are baby mamas, but I don't see the same energy against baby daddies. So, guess what? Since men as a collective want to talk so much crap about baby mamas, oh, you no longer have access to me as a child free woman. I have unfortunately made the mistake of dating guys in the past who have kids. Never again. I 100% do not recommend it. It's a 0 out of 10. Being a stepmom is never going to be the soft life. The kids will always come first. And if the kids are bad behaved, that's also going to be a problem too. Like, let's say he has teenagers and then his little teenage son gets an attitude with you one day. Or, his teenage daughter gets an attitude or she starts talking shit about you. It's going to be awkward because you can't really like stand up for yourself. And then I've noticed like a lot of times the guy, he won't stand up for you because he understands that the kids are more likely to be his retirement plan than you. because oftentimes men only want kids because they want somebody to permanently put him on a pedestal. He views his kids as his retirement plan. So if you ever have a disagreement with his children, he's always going to choose the children over you. And plus, even if he doesn't, do you really want a guy who's a deadbeat father? Do you really want a guy who emotionally abandons his kids for his girlfriend? So that's a whole other dynamic that I don't want to deal with. And plus, even if you do end up marrying the guy and all that and he's perfect or whatever, you still have to deal with being a stepmom. Stepmoms will never get as much credit as the birth mom. Even if the birth mom is a degenerate, even if the birth mom is rude and disrespectful, all you have to do is go on the stepmom Reddit and you'll see all of the nightmare stories of women talking about how they will invest money into their husband's children. And then these teenagers and stuff, they'll still be ungrateful, they'll still be disrespectful, or they will still want to go live with their birth mother because a child is naturally they're naturally inclined to love their parent. They're naturally inclined to want acceptance from their birth parent rather than some step parent. So as a step mommy, I would never get the type of respect and the type of pedestal that I want to have anyway. And so I'm always going to be the outsider looking in the family structure. I'm always going to be the black sheep anyway. So it's like, I'm not even going to deal with the drama. And then you have to deal with the co parenting drama. His baby mama's coming over to pick up the kids every other weekend, or, you're basically grounded every other weekend. You can't go on a 2-week vacation to Italy because he's going to have little Scott and Johnny next weekend. And then I've also noticed that usually if he's like a divorced dad or something like that, usually the dad is the fun parent. So whenever his kids come over, they're getting ready to party. And so they're excited to come to daddy's house every other weekend. And so that's another thing too. Like it's going to be rowdy children or rowdy teenage boys that are going to be effing up the house. So you can't even like have sex or whatever. You can't really like have the romance and the privacy that you would want to have with that guy anyway because there are kids. Don't even get me started on if the guy has toddlers. I mean, first of all, why would I even entertain a guy that just had a baby with another woman? I mean, this is why it's like there is no positive outcome from that. At least not for me as a woman that's child free. Maybe if you have children, it's different. I don't know. Comment down below. But I've never seen a woman, including stepmoms themselves, even women who are married to men with kids, will comment on my channel and they'll be like, oh, yeah, I'm currently married to a man with kids. And even though I love my husband, I wouldn't recommend this life to anyone. So it's like, okay, you guys have a notorious reputation for being bad partners in dating and marriage if you're a man with children. And then you expect me, a young child-free woman, to give up my freedom and all of my privileges so that I can come in and play stepmommy with you for no pay? And there's an 87% chance that you make less than 100K? You got me all the way fucked up. Number 13, men who are 35 years and older who have never had a serious girlfriend. This is a lesson I actually learned recently. If he is 35 and above, and he's attractive. He makes six figures. He has a nice personality and he's got all these good qualities seemingly, but he's never had a serious relationship. That is a huge red flag. So, how are you so perfect and you've got all these amazing qualities, but no woman has snatched you up? No woman has been interested enough in you to want to be your girlfriend long term. That means that you've got some serious emotional issues. I've noticed usually that seems to be a pattern. That's starting to become a pattern that I notice with men who are in their mid 30s or above. If he's 40 and above and has never been married, that's another gigantic red flag. If you're a woman who wants marriage, that's another red flag I've noticed. Because it's like, well, why wouldn't a woman want to marry you if you've got so many amazing qualities? So you're telling me that you've been passed up. Think of how many women you've come across by the time you're 35 years old. Think about how many women you've come across by the time you're 40 years old, especially if you're an attractive man who's got some financial stability, you're educated, you've got all these positive qualities, supposedly, but no woman has been interested in being with you. You know how they say, oh, you can't keep a man? to women? Yeah. Yeah, there are men who can't keep a woman. So why is that? And I've noticed that most of the time it's because the man has emotional issues. He's got a fear of vulnerability. He has a fear of opening up to a woman. Usually he's like some sort of cheater or something, or he has maybe like undiagnosed mental illnesses like generalized anxiety. He doesn't know how to take a relationship from the friendship stage to talking stage and dating and courting to engagement and marriage. He doesn't know how to carry it all the way through. He lacks follow through. He doesn't know how to emotionally sustain a long-term relationship with a woman. So if he's already that old and has had a succession of failures with women over and over again, he's probably a lost cause. And usually these are the guys who don't believe in therapy. That leads me to my next one. Men who don't believe in therapy, men who don't believe in psychology or mental illnesses, or he's got nobody to hold him accountable, basically. No spiritual journey, no, like, you might try to tell him, "Hey, are you sure you're not depressed?" He doesn't even believe in depression. I don't have time for that. The next one is men who have no positive male role models. So you're telling me that I'm supposed to believe that you're this upstanding, amazing man, and you have no father figures, no grandfather figures, no pastors, no mentors, nobody that you've looked up to, nobody whose autobiographies you've read. You've got nobody who has taught you how to be a man. That's an enormous red flag. I don't have time for it. And usually, those types of men, they're going to be very controlling over you as well. So it's like, okay, nobody can tell you nothing, but suddenly you're allowed to control me. If he has no other men in his life that he respects, what makes you think he's going to respect you? What makes you think that he's going to respect your father enough to ask for your hand in marriage? If you're one of those traditional women who cares about hypergamy and all that, he's not even going to respect your family structure or your father to ask for your hand in marriage anyway, because he doesn't even respect other men. So if he doesn't even respect other men, he's definitely not going to respect a woman. I think I'm on number 15, men with tattoos. I have never in my life dated a guy with any tattoos. I don't have any tattoos. I don't have anything against tattoos in particular. I just think that they represent a different culture that I'm not a part of. Doesn't matter what race the guy is, but I happen to not have any tattoos. The reason I don't have tattoos is because I love my skin. I love my skin tone. I love my complexion. And so I don't want anything obstructing my complexion. I feel like tattoos can sometimes obstruct or kind of distract from the outfits I'm wearing or the jewelry I'm wearing or whatever. So that's why I never got tattoos. It's because I just don't want anything blocking my skin tone. That's also a part of why I don't wear a whole bunch of jewelry to cover, that covers my skin. I like to show off my skin. I like to show off my skin tone. I love to show my complexion. So that's why I never got tattoos. And then in terms of men who have tattoos and stuff, I've just noticed that they just never, I've just never vibed with a guy who has tattoos. So I didn't purposely only pick guys who had no tattoos. That's just a pattern I've noticed. He's never had any tattoos at all. And I think it has to do with cultural background as well. I think tattoos are an artistic expression. And so I'm not really into super artsy guys anyway. So I'm not interested in it. And especially if he's got a bunch of visible tattoos that you can't cover up, like teardrop tattoos and shit. He's got tattoos on his face or all over his neck. And I don't know, it's giving me prison vibes a little bit. It's giving like the vibes of the hood. Also, tattoos on average cost about $150 for a tattoo the size of a quarter. Last time I checked, that's how much a tattoo costs. So if his body has a whole bunch of large tattoos, like he's got a whole entire chest tattoo, he's got a whole entire arm tattoo, he's got sleeves and stuff, you have paid at that point probably thousands of dollars investing in the artistic expression of your body. Okay, so then where are your assets? Since you got it like that, I mean, if you got money like that, to spend thousands of dollars just on decorating your body, I better see some money in your bank account. I better see some assets. Where are your properties? What does your stock portfolio look like? That's what I want to see from a guy with tattoos. And I've never seen it. I've never seen a guy who invests that much money in therapy. He'll invest all this money in his tattoos, but doesn't invest any money in therapy. He has spent $2,000 on his chest tat, but he has not spent $2,000 on books. He has not spent $2,000 on his education. He hasn't spent thousands of dollars on investing in his business, or if he does, it ends up failing. I've just never met a man with a bunch of tattoos who is also good with money, good with women, emotionally available, faithful, loyal, kind. I've just never seen that. And so I think that now my brain just subconsciously recognizes it as, oh, okay, tattoos. Okay, no, that's out. He's gone. Number 15, men with long nails. If a man has long nails, that scares me. It just reminds me of like a werewolf or like, I don't know, like I feel like he's just gonna cut me with his nail or something. That's just weird. I don't even like long nails. I don't wear long nails. I don't wear long acrylics or anything. So I feel like again, this is just cultural. If I myself don't even wear long nails on my own hands, why the fuck would I want a guy who has long nails? That's weird to me. I just associate men having long nails with him potentially like being dirty and nasty. It's like, dude, a nail clipper is literally $1 at Walmart. You can get it in the checkout line. It's right there next to the Snickers bar. So you're telling me you have the money to buy cigarettes and Black and Milds, but you don't have the money to buy a nail clipper. And then their nails get all dirty and nasty. Oh my God, I can't. That leads me to my next one, actually. Smokers. If he smokes, I don't care what he's smoking, hookah, cigarettes, Black and Milds, cigars. The guys that hang out in the little cigar rooms or the cigar bars. Nope, not my type. I'm not interested. I don't smoke at all. I'm not a smoker. I have like breathing issues sometimes, like I've got allergies. Hookah bars, it gives me a headache. Cigarette smoke gives me a headache. I don't smoke weed or anything. That can give me a headache sometimes. I'm just not interested in it. No shade if you are an exotical who smokes. I don't want it. I'm not interested in a guy who smokes because again, I'm thinking about money. Cigarettes are expensive. Black and Milds are expensive. So once again, I've never met a smoker who is good with money. Never. I've never met a smoker who's good with money, he's good with his emotional state, and he's mentally sane. Never. I've never met an emotionally and financially stable smoker. If you have, I would love to hear your story because I haven't seen not one. Usually, the guys who are smokers, they're smoking as an emotional coping mechanism. They're smoking because they have an anxiety disorder or they've got all these mental illnesses and shit. Basically, they have a chemical imbalance in their brain and they're trying to like balance it out and calm themselves down. I don't have time for mentally ill men. I've never met a man who's a smoker who is both financially and emotionally stable at the same time. Not once. Number 19, men who drive pickup trucks. Why are you driving a pickup truck if your job has nothing to do with pickup trucks? I just feel like my brain naturally associates pickup trucks with like serial killers. And it's like, why is he driving a pickup truck? I kind of feel like some guys, they just drive pickup trucks because they want to be seen as more masculine. And it's like, dude, just because you wear a trucker hat and you wear like John Deere and flannel shirts and overalls and you drive this old looking truck, especially the guys that have the pickup trucks with these gigantic wheels. It's like, why is your truck 10 feet tall? You can't even get into an apartment garage. It's like you can't even drive into a parking garage with that. You're trying to cope. This is a coping mechanism. You want attention for your masculinity because there is masculinity lacking in other areas. So, no, I'm not going to ride with you in your pickup truck. No, I don't want to have a camp out in the back of your truck. For those of you who date, I'm talking about mainly non Black men in this scenario. I don't want to have a camp out in the back of your truck. I don't see why you're driving that if your job or business has nothing to do with pickup trucks. Like, no, you're not going to dismember my body and put it in the back of your truck and then go bury me in a field after we went camping. I don't know what number I'm on. I think I'm on number 20. Male nurses. Why are you a male nurse? I mean, I'm not trying to be sexist. If you're a male nurse, if that's your passion, that's fine. But I've never met a male nurse whose passion is nursing. But I have been around men who are nurses and stuff who just want to be surrounded by women and they want to say they work in the medical field and they sleep with every woman in the clinic. Men who are EMTs, male nurses, paramedics, men who work in the urgent care and all that. So it's like, if you're a man who wants to go into the medical field, just take it all the way. Just go and become, you could be a doctor, you could be a physical therapist, you could have been an ophthalmologist, an audiologist, a physician's assistant. Why did you specifically choose nursing? I just feel like some guys who have done that, it's almost as if they thought nursing would be easier, and it's not, by the way. The next one on the list is men who say all of their exes are crazy. So it's always the woman's fault. It's always the ex's fault. Meanwhile, when it's the woman, she should have chose better. And you're just bad at picking. And that's what you're attracted to. You must be attracted to narcissists. You're attracted to cheaters. But suddenly, when it's the man, oh, all of his exes are just crazy. They're all stalkers. They all cheated on him. Oh, that leads me to my next one. Any man who says that his ex cheated on him, I'm actually going to stop talking to him, because usually when the woman cheats on him, it's because he actually cheated on her first and she just cheated back. So yeah, I don't have time. I don't even want to stay to find out if he's going to be a cheater. So you're done. And then I put men with giant bulky muscles and men who fear vulnerability. So yeah, I kind of like touched on that basically. Like, why would you want to look like you're about to beat somebody's ass 24/7? And then the men who fear vulnerability, how are you supposed to emotionally connect with someone or spend your whole life with someone, and then whenever you share your feelings, suddenly they get mad? Some guys will get mad when you say, hey, you did this thing and it hurt my feelings. Next thing you know, he's mad. Or like, he doesn't want to comfort you. That's another thing. Men who don't know how to emotionally comfort me. If you don't know how to soothe and comfort me, if you don't know how to express your feelings, if you're scared to talk about your feelings, I've noticed this about a lot of black men. A lot of black men, the reason why black women divest is because a lot of black men, they really are bad at talking about their feelings. I notice a lot of them, they don't like talking about how they feel. Whenever they do, it leads to anger. I've noticed that in the black culture, actually, both black men and women, there seems to be this cultural expression where the only emotions that are acceptable are anger, resentment, violence. In the black community, people don't like talking about, hey, I really love you a lot, or hey, like I really I'm very into you, or this is how I feel emotionally when I'm talking to you, or I love it when we hold hands because it makes me feel emotionally safe. I don't usually hear people in the black community talking like that in general, but I have heard lots of people in non-black communities talking like that. So I think a lot of women, they fall for like non-black men because they're better at expressing their emotions. But I just feel like that goes back to the whole fear of vulnerability and just not being able to express yourself, not having gone to therapy. I've noticed a lot of black men in particular, a lot of them haven't gone to therapy. And then let's say you call a guy out that you're dating and he's black or something, he'll start randomly saying, "Oh, well, my brother was murdered," or, my dad got shot. What? That has nothing to do with you treating me disrespectfully. And I'm sorry that that happened, but it's almost as if the only way that they communicate emotionally is by using pity to get out of it. They'll use emotional pity to get out of expressing how they feel towards you or taking accountability, basically. So they don't take accountability for their emotional flaws. They don't take accountability for their own emotional failures. And then they're also bad at expressing positive emotions towards you. I love talking about my emotions. I love talking about how I feel. I'm very expressive with how I feel. And so I can't deal with a guy who doesn't express how he feels. This is why I say just decenter men altogether. Just decenter them. Just stop searching for a husband. Stop. Stop doing it. If a guy comes along in your life and he fits in with your life, and if he is benefiting your life, sure, but it's more than likely only gonna last for a certain period of time. I mean, at least I'm smart enough to notice that. But yeah, this is a part of the reason why a lot of men will go all the way to 35 and 40, having never been married, having never had a serious girlfriend. They've never had a faithful relationship. They've never been faithful in not one relationship, which is really a sign of bipolar disorder, in my opinion. That's kind of my theory. That's really a sign that the guy, he doesn't even have, he's not monogamous, basically. But that's another thing. I feel like some men, they lack emotional expressiveness. They can't express how they feel. And then they get mad and resentful and they become incels because they can't express their emotions. That's why. So no woman has ever fallen in love with him because he doesn't know how to he doesn't know how to make a woman fall in love with him because falling in love or whatever, I have my own theories on love, but falling in love and stuff, it's based on emotional expression. So if a man can't even tell you, "I really like you. I really think you're so gorgeous. I love your personality. I really love being around you." Like if he can't even express those types of things to a woman's face, he can only say it via text or, he'll say stuff like, "Oh, you cute, but you got a big head though." He'll try to like make it a joke or something. Okay, so if you take your emotions as a joke, women are going to take your emotions as a joke. So you can't get mad and resentful when you're unable to build a sustained emotional connection with a woman. And then they'll talk all this shit about pair bonding. Women don't know how to pair bond. It's because she has a high body count. No, it's because you are emotionally inept and you don't know how to utilize vulnerability to your advantage. You don't know how to express your feelings in a way to where in a way to which a woman can actually connect with you, and so that's why no woman stays with you. That's why you're 35 and 40 and you've never been married. That's why you've never had a girlfriend that lasted for longer than a couple months. That's why women keep on passing you up for the next guy. That's why women are divesting from you or whatever. Or your friend who makes less money than you, he always gets the girl. Well, yeah, it's because a lot of women base part of their relationship on emotional connection. Number 22, men who cannot acknowledge when you are better than them at something. Have you ever noticed how some guys want you to be smart, but not smarter than them? They want you to be pretty, but not better looking than them. They want you to be ambitious, but not more ambitious than them. I have literally had exes where he doesn't want to talk about any subjects where I'm more knowledgeable. He doesn't want to do any activities where I really shine at that activity. He only wants to stay in spaces where he is the best at it because he views women as his competition because he is insecure. So that also goes back to the whole fear of vulnerability and not valuing vulnerability. Love, like being in love or whatever, that's all based on vulnerability. Love is actually the biggest emotional vulnerability you can have because being in a relationship is going to bring out all of your insecurities, is going to bring out all of their insecurities. Your relationships are kind of like a mirror. It's going to mirror back to you your positive qualities and your negative qualities. And so a lot of men, they never even make it to the relationship phase because they're too scared for a woman that they have feelings for to tell them about themselves. Have you ever noticed that? Most men, there are actually articles that talk about how men actually don't get over breakups. You know how they say, oh, women have a harder time after a breakup than men? Yeah, that's because women are working through the emotions and women get over the breakup. There are so many articles that talk about how men actually never recover from any breakups ever. They never recover because they never even face the emotions. So that's why women have a harder time in the beginning because the woman actually will be introspective and think to herself, okay, what did I do wrong? Or how can I learn from this? Or how can I grow from this? And then men will just avoid their emotions and stuff like that. So that makes him unattractive when he tries to go back into the dating market. And then he'll become all resentful and he'll become an incel because of his emotional state. My theory is that most guys are actually incels, rich or poor. This is why they solicit sex workers and stuff. This is why you'll see even celebrities where they're not even happy in their relationships. Why? Well, because it's impossible for them to be happy in their relationship long term. He doesn't have the emotional capacity to even be in love. If you ask a man what love is, usually he's just going to start naming all of the ways in which a woman serves him. If you ask a man to describe love, usually he's going to start describing 50-50 relationships. Hey, Johnny, what is love? Love is when she's ride or die for me. Love is when she's with me while I'm down. Love is when she cooks and cleans for me. Love is when she's always there for me no matter what. What do you mean, no matter what? So, no matter if you're faithful or not? No matter if you're abusive or not? No matter if you smack her upside the head? Like, most of the time when men describe love, they're going to begin describing codependency. That leads me to my next point. Codependent men. I actually feel like most men in general are codependent, hence why, once again, I have just decided to decenter them because a lot of them, they're very emotionally codependent. So the relationship is going to be an emotional drain on the woman, and it's going to be like a way that that man can kind of suck your energy. I feel like a lot of men are really just an emotional vacuum, especially the men who are emotionally immature. That's another point, too. Men who have no conflict resolution skills. Dear God, black men, I'm talking to you. I'm talking to the black men. Yes, I'm talking to the exotical men as well. No conflict resolution skills. You don't know how to argue without calling the girl a bitch. You don't know how to argue without getting defensive. You don't know how to argue and feel like it's you two against the problem. It always becomes me against you. I have to win this argument. And it's like, okay, you won the argument, but you lost the relationship. So you're actually an idiot. I mean, if you're going to be a 50-50 man, you have to at least know how to lose arguments so you can get the 50-50 shit. I mean, that is basic manipulation 101. Just saying. If you want to be a 50-50 dude, you have to at least know how to make the woman think she's right so that she can keep paying her half of the rent. You know your bills are due on the 1st. You know the light bill is due next week. You can't argue with Kiki. You can't afford to argue with Keisha today. You can't afford to argue with Tiffany today. You can't afford to argue with Shaniqua today. Your rent is due on the 1st. You better let her have it. The next one is men who come from single parent homes. I see a lot of men have smoke for women with daddy issues or women who have no father figures. Guess what? I can keep the same energy. Men who come from single parent homes. I don't come from a single parent background. I have 2 parents in my life. They're still married to this day. They've been in my life my whole life. So guess what? I'm going to be with my counterpart then. I'm only going to give attention to my counterpart. If you come from a single parent home, you have daddy issues. And also that's a red flag because it's like if your dad didn't teach you how to be a man, who taught you how to be a man? Probably hip hop music and the media and all that. So I don't have time for that. I don't have time for a guy who wants to imitate rappers and shit. He wants to imitate NBA players and video game influencers and streamers. The next one, men who want to change me. I don't date men who try to change me. You can't change a human being. The relationship starts to become more and more male centered. It starts to become more centered around him. You have to move out of the state because he got a new job somewhere else. You have to cook a certain type of food because he likes that type of food. Normally, you're raw vegan or you like eating fruits and vegetables, but he doesn't like that. So you have to change for him. A lot of men come into relationships with the intention to gradually brainwash the woman, and they don't even realize this, but they'll come into a relationship with the intention to gradually change and mold the woman into who he wants her to be. This is why a lot of men go for young women. This is why a lot of men go for women who are like very meek and introverted and submissive or whatever, because they feel like the women who have less boundaries are going to be easier to manipulate. That's another type of man that I don't date. Men with no boundaries. And usually nice guys don't have good boundaries. You know, the nice guys on Reddit, the guys who say, well, you pass up the nice guy for the bad boy. Well, usually nice guys have no boundaries, they have no backbone. Men with no backbone are more likely to be cheaters over time. They're more likely to allow their female friends to cross boundaries and stuff. Those types of men, they're not going to protect you. So if you care about a man who's a protector and provider, if he has no boundaries, he's not going to protect you for shit. He's not going to protect you emotionally. He's not gonna protect you from his toxic female friends who are hating on you or something. He's not gonna protect you in any area, really. And I feel like a lot of men don't understand this. Whenever women say they want protectors and providers, men think physical protection, like, oh, let me get a gun or let me build up some muscles. No, no, no. Women are also talking about emotional protection as well. Women want to feel emotionally safe. We want to feel like you are emotionally monogamous with us. Women want to feel like a man cares about her emotional state. This is why if a woman is crying, and the man doesn't comfort her, he doesn't say what's wrong or try to give her a hug or something like that, she feels emotionally unsafe. Yeah, she's not protected by that guy because that guy, he has no backbone. He has no emotional backbone. He has no financial backbone, which means he's going to be an impulse spender or, he's more likely to get scammed or tricked. The next type of man I do not date is men who look at other women or feel the need to randomly tell me about other women they find attractive. So I don't care if he thinks another woman is pretty. Thinking something is different than saying it. Like, just because you think that woman is pretty, why do you have to tell me? There are 7 billion people in this world. Out of all 7 billion people in this world, why did you choose to tell me specifically that you think Sarah is pretty? Why did you do that? Why? What's the point? Did it build our relationship? Did it help anything? Did it make the date better? Did it make me feel better? Did that make you feel better? Oh, what? It's a subconscious humbling tactic? Yeah, I know. The only reason he's telling you that he finds another woman attractive is because either number one, he is emotionally vapid. He has nothing else to talk about. He has nothing interesting about himself. So he's going to end up being a social or emotional liability because his life is so uninteresting. His mind is so unstimulated that he has nothing to talk about other than Sarah's ass. That's reason number one. Or number two, he wants to make you try harder. It's a subconscious way to get you to try harder to compete with all these invisible, Instagram models or whatever. They want you to compete more for their attention. He wants you to try to measure up or whatever, or he wants you to look more like Sarah. For example, let's say you're overweight or something like that, and then like she's skinny. I don't know. He's doing it as a humbling tactic or as a control tactic or as a way to establish dominance. It's basically like a subconscious way of telling you you're not the prize or like you're not special. That's basically what it's saying. You're not special. Your sister's prettier, or hey, your sister's hot. Okay, so what's the point of saying it though? I don't understand the point. Those types of men, they're not socially strategic. Like you should have interesting conversation. That's not an interesting conversation for a woman to have. Talking about another woman's ass, talking about another woman's boobs, talking about how pretty somebody else is. That's not an interesting, enticing conversation. So I genuinely do not see the purpose of doing that. I wouldn't do that. If I'm out with a guy, I'm not going to randomly talk about, oh, Johnny is so hot. Oh, look at Scott's muscles. Why would I talk about that? For what? How is that an interesting conversation topic? It's not. Okay, so either you're an uninteresting person or you're trying to humble me. Types of men I do not date. Number 25, men who brag about having money while never spending said money. Who cares about how much money you have if I don't have access to it? You might as well be broke. You might as well be a homeless man on the street. I don't give a fuck about how much money you claim to have if I'm never going to have access to it anyway. So you're telling me you got all this money, but I'm not being taken out anywhere. You're not spending any of it on me. Okay, so then why should I be impressed? I'm not impressed because my experience with you is no different than being with a broke Dusty. So you may as well not have all the money. Like I've had guys in the past brag about owning properties or, making all this money and it's like, okay, but it's not my house. So who cares? It's not like I'm living in it. It's not like I'm going to live in that house ever. So why do I care? Unless you're giving me the money or giving me that house or something, I'm not interested. So you can't impress a woman with money if you're not spending any of the money on her. You can't impress a woman with your resources if she is not accessing all the resources. That's no different than a random incel coming online and bragging about how rich he is. It's like, okay, what does that matter to me? It's not like you're giving it to me anyway, so I don't care. Anyway, what do you ladies think? Do you have any types of men that you don't date? Let me know in the comment section and I'll talk to you next time. Stay pretty, ladies.